welcome to the Town of Vesuvius regular open meeting of council, March 12th, 2024, 2 p.m. in council chambers. So first off is the approval of the agenda, and there are no late items. So could I have a motion, please? Councillor Chung, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. And the adoption of some minutes, that would be the regular open minutes from February the 27th, 2024. Could I have a motion for that, please? Councillor King, Councillor Foderico, all in favor. Thank you. And next is correspondence, and we will go on to the Okanagan Basin Water Board. I was at a meeting on Friday, and I'm going to explain that right now because it's part of this report. It was up in Kelowna, and there was it was a meeting of about 100 people. The Okanagan Interior Invasive Mussel Working Group. There were people from local government, not many, chambers of commerce, tourism, marinas, watershed groups, and a bunch from Rotary that were there from Kelowna. Looking at the three concerns that we have about invasive mussels. And so there were three parts to the day. It was a full day meeting. One was prevention. How can we improve current prevention efforts? Quarantines, fines, pull the plug legislation preventing boats from coming into BC. Since 20% of the ones that were found and asked had never seen any of the signs or gone to any inspection stations. So the problem is there's no way to treat this. It's like milfoil. If invasive mussels get into the lake system, there will be no way of removing them. So it was prevention, first of all, which took most of the day, plus dogs. There are sniffer dogs that can detect mussels on boats, which is very helpful. We only have 2, and so there should be more. Then there was limiting the spread. If invasive mussels get into BC, how can you prevent them from being spread to other water bodies? And the boats that are in Lake Mead down in California, Arizona, I forgot which state it's in. But anyway, if they have mussels there, those boats are not allowed to be removed from the lake. They have to be used there. They can't be taken out and moved to another lake because they will automatically spread. We need more checkpoints, perhaps a sticker program which says, I've had my boat inspected and I'm free of invasive mussels right now. The unfortunate thing is that Idaho has absolutely the best prevention message contacts, and that's where they're spreading there now, even with the sticker program and everything else. It's pretty scary. There's lots of information about it. Please read about it. I mean, it's consumed my life in letters for the last several years being on the water board. And then living with mussels. Once we get them, I know that in Lake Mead and the water outlets that are down there, there have to be underwater divers that go in at least twice a year with high pressure hoses to get rid of the mussels that form around their water intakes. Wow. It's really scary. So that was the first of the meetings, and I certainly will go to some of the other ones because I think it's so important. Then we have a new milfoil harvester that is really the latest and greatest. It's and of course, Vesuvius Lake has the milfoil harvester here quite often. This one is built in Germany right now. It's actually in Montreal on its way across. It's been completed, and it will likely be able to collapse their whatever it's called, the head or something, and it goes down, and they may be able to get in and out under the bridge. Because right now in Vesuvius Lake, they have to put it in the upper part of the lake, take it out and put it in the lower part because they can't go under the bridge. So you'll see this very likely this summer. But it was interesting, while we were at the meeting in Kelowna, we were at the Manteo Resort, and out in the water was the red milfoil harvester doing its work. So that was a good thing. I also went to the Decoding Drought workshop that I reported on the last time, and that's also sponsored by the RDOS and the OBWB, and they're looking at how to help people and answer questions who are concerned about drought conditions in their orchards, in their homes, and their farms and everything. Fascinating board to be on. I'm very fortunate to be there and get firsthand information. So what I need, please, is that we have a motion to accept the March 6th report for information. Thank you. Councillor Poderica, Councillor Chong, all in favor. Thank you. And next we have Ms. Curtis, the liquor and cannabis regulation grants referral.
Thank you, Mayor McCormick. Thank you, Mayor McCormick. So the property owner at 6001 Litchfield Drive is seeking approval from the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch for a special event endorsement application. So the purpose of the special event permit is to authorize the sale and on-site consumption of drinks containing liquor to patrons in the service area. So at its meeting of December 12th, 2019, council resolved to opt out of leading a public consultation process and delegate the authority to the Director of Planning and Development Services to provide comments to the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch, should they request assistance. However, on January 29th, 2024, notification was received from the LCRB informing the town that the letter the town had submitted for the special event and area endorsement application for Tumbleweed Spirits Inc. Was considered too old to be accepted, and a new up-to-date resolution was required in order for the application to proceed. So in considering this proposal, administration noted that the special event endorsement permit application is consistent with the general commercial designation of the property under the official community plan and the objective of encouraging food and beverage spaces. Furthermore, the proposed permit is consistent with the zoning bylaw and the allowance for a craft brewery distillery as a principal use of the M3, the special industrial zone. For these reasons, administration is recommending that council opt out of providing comment to the LCRB.
Thank you very much. This is similar to the one that was brought last month, wasn't it, for a different special event endorsement?
That was for a liquor primary.
Yes. Thank you very much. Councillor Chong.
Thank you. I'd move option 1.
Thank you. Councillor King seconding that. All in favor. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Curtis. Next is the Grant Evaluation Committee recommendations. Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before you was a number of recommendations from the Grant Evaluation Committee. We met on March the 1st, and the reason that we met is we had a number of requests from the public requesting grant funding, which we did have some grant funding remaining from the Resort Municipality Initiative and also from the Community Services Grant Program. We did have one change from what we actually reviewed from the Oyster Festival. One of the reasons the recommendation that's coming forward wasn't approved is because they weren't a nonprofit entity, but they have currently resubmitted and they are bringing something forward with the South Okanagan Chamber of Commerce, and that would be for council to debate. So there is a number of recommendations here before council.
I'm not quite, so in other words, what it has here that we do, that the recommendation is that you not approve the grant for the Oyster Festival. You're suggesting there's new information that's come forward? Okay, so let's go through each one of the resolutions separately then. So would you like me to read those? Okay, so the first one is that council approves $500 to the senior boys basketball team from the Community Services Grant Program, who are competing in the provincial championships on March the 6th to 9th in Langley, BC. Could we have a motion? Thank you. Councillor King is moving that. Councillor Poderica is seconding that. All in favor? Thank you. The second one is that council approves $500 to the South Okanagan Minor Hockey Association under 18 team from the Community Services Grant Program who are competing in the provincial championships on March 16th to 21st in Nelson, BC. So could we have a motion to approve that? Thank you, Councillor Bennett, Councillor Chalmers. If anybody wants to speak to them, just stop me, okay? Third one, that council approves $500 to the under 18 South Zone Female A hockey team from the Community Services Grant Program who are competing in the under 18 Female Provincial Ice Hockey Championships, March 20th to 24th in Armstrong and Enderby, BC. Is there Councillor Bennett, Councillor Poderica? I'd like to point out that two members of the team, it's a regional team, are from Vesuvius. Caitlin Hilson and Addison Turnbull. And so they're meeting other people on their team and going together. So for all of those teams, we certainly wish them all the very best. Next is, let's do the other two and then we'll come back to the Oyster Festival one. Or does it matter? No? Okay. That council approves $3,500 to the Vesuvius Curling Club for the furnace replacement from the Community Services Grant Program. And that has just happened. There was a problem with their furnace? Did it die at the last minute or they needed help? Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, we had the money. Is there someone who would like to move that? Councillor King, Councillor Chong, all in favor? Thank you. The next one is that council approves the Festival Society organized fireworks on Canada Day, subject to funding being adjusted within the Community Service Grant Program and the RMA funding, and the Festival Society making a presentation to the Committee of the Whole meeting prior to funding being approved. Can you just explain that a little bit more, because this was a recommendation from the committee?
Yes, your worship. Originally, we didn't have enough funds remaining in our community services grant program. One part due to the fact of the Festival Society, the original money they got for the 4 events that they do was actually allocated from that particular funding. Looking back on it now, 3 of those 4 events are eligible for the RMI funding. So that $7,500 then went back into that community services grant program, along with the other funding that was there. And that's what we wanted to make sure was okay. And I think all of that is fine, and it is still good.
Okay. So they did make a presentation this morning to council. Are we comfortable with the presentation and what is going to happen? I'm going to ask Councillor Bennett, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move that we approve the $10,000, but base it on the completion of a special land application. And also that they provide a site plan a month ahead of time, showing they have permission to use the land, they have the fire truck, and they also have the town name as a mission. Sure.
So in other words, they need to prove that they have insurance and that is provided to us. Is that correct?
Yeah. Is that okay?
Does that make sense?
I'm just not sure. I have a question.
Just a minute, this was a motion, so we need a seconder for that first. Are you seconding it? Okay, no, is there anything else that needs to be talked about before we vote on this? Yes, Councillor King.
That's the question. Sits on OIB land. Did they need a special permit from our town?
Thank you, Councillor King, for that. Technically, no. I think bringing forward a special event application just is more for due diligence in terms of what we're actually providing in the program itself for the actual funding that we're bringing forward. As part of the special event application, because it's not on town property, legally, I guess that wouldn't be required. It definitely wouldn't be required based on our policy or anything to that effect. But I think just for due diligence, and this is, it is a bit of a change, it's still for our community. The fact that we would ask for, additional insured for the town to be on their, the actual business or the contractor that is doing the, fireworks, could make that difference. I guess I would leave it at that.
Mrs. Hilson, does that make sense? Because if we are providing the $10,000, we should be included on the insurance for the person, whoever it is that's lighting off the fireworks.
Yeah, definitely, we should be doing this, we additional.
So was that all included in your, in Councillor Bennett's, motion? Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Now, Councillor King, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I got a question about giving taxpayers money out to an event that's not in town. Does that have any effect in the bigger picture? I mean, I support fireworks, but again, OIB's not town property, so is there any concerns there?
Councillor King, over the years, we've actually provided funding, for groups out of town, as long as it's, people from the Soyuz or have some kind of benefit from it. In my, role, I do believe that, just because it's not on town property, it is definitely still for the town of the Soyuz. It's across the lake, and I know that's still, not on property, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in relation to insurance and stuff. But if that's covered off, I think that would be okay.
And it seems to me that, because it's the Soyuz Festival Society that is managing it, that is, our group. Go ahead, Councillor Chung.
Thank you. I think one of the things that we've implemented as a grant approval committee was our checklist, our grant evaluation criteria. And it's just to keep it more transparent. And the first 5 points, the third point is the event organization within the town of Suez. So the Suez Festival Society is an organization that is within the town of Suez. So I think it falls very well within the purview of grant funding. I am kind of struggling with why the town would need to be named in the insurance policy. Would it not be sufficient if OIB would be named in the insurance policy?
If council is giving funding, you are funding the fireworks, so it would be in our best interest that the town be named. We do require that when they were, displaying their fireworks off of Jarrow, that was a condition of the permit. And maybe Councillor Bennett could answer me better. I don't believe there is an additional cost to name us as an additional insurance.
Go ahead, Councillor Bennett.
I think that, basically, if they carry $3 million of insurance and we're additional named insured and we both get sued, their insurance pays out first. And if say it goes to 4 million, then their insurance pays the 3 and we pay the 1. But basically it doesn't cost anything and it's protecting us.
Councillor Chung?
Thank you. Because in my thought process, I just wanted to make sure we can remove as much kind of red tape and bureaucracy so that we can get the fireworks as smoothly as possible. But I always saw the grant funding as more of a donation, and if a donor needs to be named in the insurance policy, then does that mean every donor needs to be named in the insurance policy?
The Festival Society gets insurance for the event, not the fireworks maybe at this point, but the rest of the event, and the town pays for it. The town pays the insurance on that event. So I really do think it's in our best interest to protect the town in case something went wrong. We would, we had thought about this and looked at it, so I'm okay with doing this. Go ahead, Councillor.
Could you just read the motion back, please?
That council approves $10,000 for the Festival Society to organize fireworks on Canada Day, subject to funding being adjusted within the Community Service Grant Program and the Resort Municipality Initiative funding, and the Festival Society making a presentation at the Committee of the Whole
prior to the funding being approved, and the completion of a special events permit, a map showing the location, and naming the town of Soyuz as an additional insured on that insurance.
Okay, and that was moved and seconded. I will call the question. All in favor? Thank you, that's carried. Thank you. Now, could we go back, please, to the Oyster Festival, and could you explain what the difference is from our report today?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Initially, when we reviewed the Oyster Festival's application, it wasn't done through any type of nonprofit association. And as Councillor Cheong just pointed out, with our new criteria, one of the very first items saying if it's not a nonprofit society or entity, that funding couldn't be allocated. We would have nobody or nothing to go back on, check any kind of financials legally, and that was just part of the actual accreditation criteria. Since then, the application, because this was an event that probably would have fallen under the RMI festival visitor activity enhancement section. If it was done and approved in that way, obviously through council, then, you know, this funding that we originally applied for would fit. So that's why it was brought up just as an extra here today.
Okay, and do we have an extra $5,000 to put towards this? We must have, we wouldn't have said, okay.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Councillor King?
Yeah, I have a question. There was actually another request for another 2,000 from the same group. So was that separate or were they asking for 7,000 now?
Councillor King, that was a separate application through the Community Services Grant Program. I'm not 100% sure we actually have funding remaining after what we've allocated today. The initial application didn't come forward. We didn't actually review it as a committee. But I guess if council wants to, you know, support that, it would fit in that as well. The budget for that, or the allocation that was needed for that, was for the use of the bus. And the organizers didn't really understand how the bus is actually used, but a nonprofit being the entity who's doing the event, they wouldn't be charged anything because they're a nonprofit. They would have to cover their insurance. Per day is fairly inexpensive, and then they would have to top up the gas.
And I guess they needed drivers, so to me, 2,000 seems unrealistic to cover for a bus for 2 days for 8 hours. But I have no problem with the 5,000 since you juggled some funding around. I just have, since the manager's here, the grant was kind of submitted by the board signing off on it, and I just want to know, Surge or the Sullivan Chamber is willing to sign off on it because they would more likely receive the money and then forward it.
Go ahead, Ms. Blaschko. We don't normally do this, but please go ahead. Question.
It was a unanimous vote by my board that we could support in any way because shoulder season events was high on our business walk. That was our marching orders from the business community, more seasonal events. So it was unanimous from our board.
Thank you. So the motion is that we support, could you read the motion, please, as it stands at the moment?
We don't have one on the floor, nobody's approved.
There's no motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought this was the last one, so we need a motion. And that we approve by a $5,000 grant request to the Oyster Festival from the RMI. Is that correct? Is that what would that be the correct motion?
As long as it's for the South Okanagan Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, okay, so that needs to be included in there. So Okanagan Chamber, so could you, when you have it ready, Mrs. No, Mrs. Hilson, could you read it out, please?
That council approves $5,000 grant request to the South Okanagan Chamber for the Oyster Festival event from the Resort Municipality Initiative funding.
Thank you very much. So do we have, are you moving that?
Now, I got a
Thank
question
you.
too.
And Councillor Chung seconding your question.
In the application, they mentioned 2 events. I wonder if you could explain that a little bit?
Thank you, Councillor King. I do believe that the 2 events are the similar type of events. They're held at 2 different places, but it's part of the festival as a whole.
Okay. Thank you. My assumption is that there would be information coming out about this event in April. Is it in April?
April 19th and 20th.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we will expect more information about this event. All right, so it's been moved and seconded that we support this and all in favor. Thank you, everyone. Okay, thank you, Mr. Davis. We will move on to Mr. Brownstein, the service level curbside collection report.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a report that came out of the committee of whole for the last meeting, February 27th, where the committee recommended the council that we move forward with a curbside collection program, including carts. There's now a recommendation for council to go ahead with a fully automated curbside collection program and commit to the funding of $355,000 in 2025. And an ongoing operational cost estimate of $45,000 per year starting in 2026. And the 5-year financial plan be amended to reflect those budget commitments. Any questions of council?
Yes, I'd like to, my concern at the last time, and I know you have it in here, is from WorkSafe BC. I know that at the regional district, when they were talking about this, which they've gone to with several of the areas, that there was concern from WorkSafe BC that they did not want lifting to be involved. They wanted to be totally automatic. If that's been checked, I can see that.
So there is comments to that in the staff report in regards to WorkSafe BC, say requirements for lifting. So it's actually the responsibility of the employer to assess any lifting concerns, and then there's 2 hierarchies of control, whether it be engineering controls or administrative controls. And engineering controls being the most preferred option from WorkSafe, and that is where that requirement for full automation comes from. It's from actually the contractors, OHS committee, and OHS requirements, not WorkSafe.
Okay, thank you very much. So, council, are there any more questions? Go ahead.
No
Council.
question.
Yes, go ahead. You have a motion.
Motion.
Okay,
That was in option 1.
option 1. Is there a seconder for option 1? Councillor Bennett? Any questions, concerns? All right, then we will ask for a vote on this. All in favor? Against? Thank you. That passed. Thank you, Mr. Brownstein. Next, is the planning policies for consideration of abandonment, and that would be Mrs. Hilson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Before you is a report that comes with recommendations to repeal, I believe there's 9 policies. So the advisory design panel policy, the public opinion process policy, the council policy and considering development variance permit policy, the pre-application development proposal policy, the process for density bonus policy, the Oswego Affordable Housing Task Force terms of reference policy, the Oswego Waterfront Steering Committee task force policy, the Lake Recreational and Commercial Use Task Force policy, and the cannabis sale policy. These all came from recommendations from Chris Garish, who is currently overseeing our planning. A lot of these come from that Bill 44 requirements that council was given updated from Mr. Garish, as well as the Oswego Affordable Housing Task Force, the Waterfront Steering Committee, and the Lake Recreational Commercial Use Task Force have no longer have committee members. Same as the advisory design panel. I think in my report I wrote that they actually haven't met since 2015. So the recommendation in front of council is that each of these policies be repealed, and if that is council's desire, we would like to see them in individual motions.
Yes. Thank you very much. So we will have to go through and deal with these individually. And so the first one is that the advisory, we need a motion that the advisory design panel, PLA 001 policy be repealed. Thank you, Councillor Federica, Councillor Chung, all in favor. Thank you. And the next one is the public opinion process, PLA 003 policy be repealed. Could I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Bennett, Councillor Chung, all in favor. Thank you. Next, that the council policy on considering DVPs, PLA 005 policy be repealed. All in favor of that one. Oh, do we have a motion? One, okay. We got too many of these. Okay, all in favor. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Mayor.
Yes.
Who seconded that motion? We have Councillor Federica as the mover.
I'm sorry,
Councillor
Councillor
King.
King.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next is the pre-application development proposals policy being repealed. Could we have a motion on that one? Councillor Federica, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. These are all explained in detail in the report for people who wanted to read more about them. The next one is the process for density bonuses, PLA 008 be repealed. Thank you, Councillor Chong, Councillor King, all in favor. And the Suias Affordable Housing Task Force Terms of Reference Policy be repealed. You have a motion on that one, please. Thank you, Councillor Chong, Councillor Bennett. All in favor. Thank you. And the Serious Waterfront Steering Committee policy be repealed. Anybody on that one? Councillor Bennett, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. And the Lake Recreational Commercial Use Task Force policy be repealed. Thank you, Councillor Federica, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. And the cannabis sales policy be repealed. Thank you, Councillor Federica, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. I'm just going to point out that some of these policies are no longer needed. Some of them have been replaced with other things that have come forward. I know it was probably 10 years ago, 12 maybe, I was on the Lake Recreational Commercial Use Task Force. That is being repealed because there are going to be updates to a new one, which when we get new information and we get new regulations, we have to repeal some of these and put in new ones. So that's the reason for this. Thank you. So we're all okay with that one. Next is the general net payroll and Sunbowl Arena financial accounts. And as of March 12th, general cash requirements are in the amount of $595,068.66. Sunbowl cash requirements of $13,897.78 and net payroll accounts of $110,406.16. So could I have a motion, please, to receive these for information? Councillor King, Councillor Chung, all in favor. Thank you. And building permit report. For the month of February, we have some single bay garage, adding interior alterations in suites, a swimming pool, and solar panel installation. I'm just going to check, I believe if you were doing a solar panel installation, that you need to have your roof checked first, am I correct? Because it's quite an added weight on top of your roof. I believe that has to be done first by the building inspector. Does that make sense? Do you know? Ms. Curtis?
I believe it's actually the consultant who determines that.
Okay,
They do a sense of study on
before they will do this.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I knew that. Okay, thank you very much. So could we, and the total for the month was $800,000. And the total to date, just 2024, 997,000. And so total to date in 2023 was 1.185 million. So a little less. Okay, thank you. And next is the, we're going to do bylaws and the zone.
Mayor, we
I'm
just
sorry.
need a motion to receive the general fund and payroll accounts for, or no, pardon me, the building permit report.
Oh, building permit. Okay, could we have a motion, please, to accept? Thank you. Councillor Foderica and Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. Okay, next we're doing the zoning amendment bylaw. That would be Miss Curtis.
Thank you, Mayor McCullough. So this report is for the final reading of zoning bylaw amendment or amendment bylaw, excuse me, number 1085.143 from 2022 for 6814 97th Street. The applicant is seeking to amend the zoning for the subject property in order to allow for a 2-lot subdivision of the subject. So at its meeting of July 19th, sorry, July. Yes. No. Really wrong. Excuse me. At the previous council meeting, so February 27th, council resolved to approve first and second and third reading, sorry, of the amended bylaw and directed that, there would be no public hearing as a result of the, new, legislation. So, we received MOTI approvals shortly thereafter on February 29th.
So today we're looking to have the zoning amendment bylaw 1085-147 be adopted.
Correct.
That is the recommended. Could we have a motion to that effect, please? Councillor King, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you very much. Okay. Next is the delegation of authority bylaw. And that would, we've had the move to first, second, and third time on the 27th of February. And so today we're looking at the adoption of that bylaw. Delegation of authority. Could we have a motion to that effect, please? Thank you. Councillor Foderica, Councillor Chong, all in favor. Thank you. And the land use. The land use procedures bylaw. And again, that one had the first reading the first, second, and third time on the 27th of February. And today we are looking for the adoption of this. 1235-2007. We have a motion, please, to that. Thank you. Councillor Bennett, Councillor Chong, all in favor. Thank you. And next is Mrs. Hilton, the council procedure amendment bylaw, number 1367.
Thank you, Your Worship. Before council is a recommendation that the council procedure amendment bylaw number 136702, 2024 be read the first, second, and third time. It should be noted that if council does give the first 3 readings to this bylaw, notices will be placed in the Times Chronicle for 2 consecutive weeks and on the public posting board to meet the charter requirements for amendment made to the council procedure bylaw.
Thank you. Are there any concerns on this one? So we are looking for a to be read a first, second, and third time. Councillor Foderica moving that. Councillor Bennett seconding that. All in favor. Thank you, everyone. Okay, that's passed. And now we are looking at new business. And that would be Councillor Bennett's report, right? Good. Councillor Bennett attended a Okanagan Regional Library meeting in Kelowna, and he's looking to have the council meeting report rate at $100 a day. Councillor King is moving that. Councillor Foderica is seconding that. All in favor. Thank you. And now we're going into, oh, not yet, reports from the age-friendly committee, accessibility and age-friendly committee meeting minutes of January the 18th, 2024, be received for information. Could we have a motion to do that, please? Thank you. Councillor Quadriga, Councillor King, all in
I
favor.
got a question.
Thank you. Go ahead. Before we, yeah.
Yeah, as part of the committee, I just asked Mr. Davis a couple of questions.
Oh, sure, sorry.
Have you had the opportunity to look at grant opportunities for the trailer? It's in the minutes.
Thank you, Councillor King. I would like to tell you, yes. I got an email at lunchtime saying that we will, be successful in that, and we will be able to order another, Mobi chair. Get the trailer and, do some stenciling on the outside of this to promote and make it aware, how we're going to, do this in the community. Probably at 1:20 something, I got this today. I just had to update the grant application a little bit, and it was for $25,000.
Well done. That's great. Thank you to the committee for doing that.
I just got one other question
Yeah.
about it. I guess I brought it up as a roundtable. The city of Chilliwack has a gold seal. And I don't know if that's the town or a particular building. I was asking how we could move ourselves up to a gold seal. Could you give a little overview on that?
Thank you again, Councillor King. In looking at the city of Chilliwack and what they've done for other accessibility requirements, they've actually created something through the Rick Hansen Foundation to actually give the city that type of recognition. If that is something that we could do, I guess that would be a decision of council to bring something forward. I'm not sure if it's just a standardized practice or is it something that they just did on their own. A number of items that we've done, and since the committee's been in place for so long here, we are, recognized. And hopefully because some of the stuff that we did help contribute to our accessibility plan overall for the province and getting their grant funding quicker.
Good. Thank you very much. Go ahead. You had something else?
Yeah, well, then I just looked at mention, maybe you could bring back a report with more information about what has to be done around the gold seal, or if it would make any impact on our town to apply for bigger grants per se.
Could that be put on your agenda for the next meeting that you have, the accessibility and age friendly?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
So
So,
we want
Sure.
to, maybe we just want to get a motion.
oh, did you want a motion to put it on the next meeting or to bring it back
Well, a
here?
motion to
Oh, wait,
direct
no.
administration.
We currently have a motion on the floor to adopt the minutes of the HRND Accessibility Committee, so that needs to be dealt with prior to.
Perfect. Thank you. So we do have the motion and it's been moved and seconded. So could we have, could we vote on that, that this be received for information? Thank you very much. Now, you had a motion.
Yeah, I'd
Councillor
like
King.
the motion that staff bring back a report around more information around the gold seal program.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor John? Any questions? All in favor? Thank you, everyone. Okay, next is the Grant Evaluation Committee, and the minutes are included in here. And so we need a motion that the Grant Evaluation Committee minutes of December the 5th be received for information. And I think we've talked about all of these things several times, so we probably don't have to go through it again. So Councillor Bennett, you're moving that, Councillor Chong seconding that, all in favor. Thank you. All right, and we now have some things, some motions that were brought forward this morning from the committee of the whole meeting. So I need a motion, please, that council approves the decision to opt in to the principal residence requirement for permitting short-term rentals in the town and pursuing the proposed process for implementation. Councillor Chung, sorry, I'm looking over here, Councillor Quadriga, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. Second one from the same, sorry, are you? I apologize for not saying that. Did you notice that? We've got 4 and 1. Okay, next is the committee of the whole, that council direct administration to bring back a report to the regular open meeting on the bylaw notice enforcement and dispute adjudication system. Councillor Chong is moving that, Councillor Poderica seconding that, all in favor. Okay, that's everybody. And the third one was from this morning. That council, we need a motion that council keep the council meeting schedule and times as status quo. We need a motion for that. Councillor King, Councillor Poderica, all in favor. Thank you. There was a question earlier, about.
Mayor, I'm just going to, that Councillor, John was opposed.
I'm sorry. Okay, thank you, and I should have caught that. There was a question earlier about keeping the council's time schedule and times at status quo. That was discussed this morning. It was agreed that we would do that for now. Any of these motions can be brought back in another year or at the next election if people do not agree with them. That was the decision for today. Thank you. All right, next we have a report from the Chief Administrative Officer, please. Mr. Rizzo.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I had an opportunity to go to Penticton late last week. Unfortunately, we got to start preparing for wildfire season, so that I think there's probably about 50 people there, including Dr. Brunstein. It was fantastic to see collaborative effort within the region. We all have a vested interest in dealing with these things that are likely going to happen. Keep thinking, hoping they're not going to, but they likely will. And I think it was a very collaborative meeting and just building camaraderie and understanding each other's roles. So I think that's important for the public to know that the region is working very well together. And yeah, hopefully we don't have to band together this summer. Other things, Parks Master Plan, that's proceeding. Contract is awarded to ISL Engineering. In fact, we met with them yesterday to get that project started. Tomorrow is the spring programs of community services. The registration is opening up tomorrow, so if you're interested in that, get in early or the programs actually fill up. March 14th is coming up this weekend. Sunbowl figure skating and the season ice show is on. And March 15th to March 18th, Adam Fiesta, celebrating 50 years in the suits, so it's a pretty big weekend. Then corporate services, bylaw officers. I know this was something we kept regurgitating last year, and it's becoming more of an issue again, and it's just dogs at large. And so we really encourage people to get their license and watch their dog, keep it in their backyard. It does consume an incredible amount of time from bylaw officers to address these issues. And definitely freedom of information requests. We heard that earlier today. It's still consuming a significant amount of time. Finance is working on year-end preparations for audits, which are, I think the auditors are here next week or the following week. The fire department, and kudos to our fire departments. They've been busy, unfortunately, and it's something that unfortunately is really, really expensive, but it's something that is required of the people in the community, and they did a fantastic job of containing the fire that occurred a week or so ago. We have some recruits taking education, which is great. 5 new recruits have completed about 15% of their new firefighter 1 and 2 certifications. And we had 3 firefighters who completed their NFPA 101 firefighter 1 and 2 certifications. I know that it's a lot of work to complete all those individual pieces, so kudos to them. A lot of work to serve the community, so we appreciate that. Just a reminder for businesses, if you haven't taken a business license, to pay them. There's a few outstanding. And within operational services, I think you're noticing a lot of cleanup around town, started street sweeping. They're still doing some water system flushing, sometimes there's a fire event, we have some issues with the pipes, so it's a real team effort in dealing with these things, and they did a lot of work in clearing out on some of the manganese built up within the lines over the last week or so. And water treatment plant, that's an ongoing issue. Corello Engineers is engaged for a cost feasibility on the water treatment plant, so report should be coming to council here within the next 2 to 4 weeks. And last but not least, we have an individual departing the organization, Olivia Curtis, and she's got an opportunity in the municipality, so hats off to her. Been kind of looking after that department, so she hadn't had a lot of leadership in the last little bit here, but they've been troopers over there, and it's been great to, I guess, keep the files going and providing guidance to our customers, so I just want to thank her for her efforts and congratulate her on the new position. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Leah. I hope it's a step up in your training. I know you've been doing lots of training, so we wish you all the best. And could we please have a motion to receive the CAO report for information? Thank you very much. Councillor Poderica, Councillor King. We got it. All in favor. Thank you. And now we will look for council reports. Councillor King, you're first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attended the Grant Evaluation Committee minute along with Councillor Chung and Councillor Bennett. You heard some updates this afternoon on the funding requests that got received, so that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. March 1st, I met with the International Bike Trail Arnie from Orville, Orville. And we talked about the International Bike Trail as well as International Bike Race, March 4th. I met the Trails and Trails Board meeting. March 5th, I met with Mark from RDOC about getting KBR signage to connect the trails from 62nd to the US border. Then on March 6th, met with BC Parks and BC Lands with Ken Gilchrist from the Soyuz Bike Club and Director Davies, Daniel Bibby from DO, and Denise from South Okanagan Chamber. And we're trying to get the bike trails sanctioned, the linear bike trails for the cross-country bike. And also trying to get a trail agreement together, and they're talking about the agreement maybe by around June of 2024. Unfortunately, Mr. John couldn't be there, but Director Councilor John. And basically, the only problem we have is that the park's going to remain closed for a year. And that happens whenever there's a forest fire. It's they can always leave it closed for a year because of the blow down safety of the trees and also for the plant regrowth. That's my report.
Thank you very much. Councillor Chung.
Thank you. Attended the grant evaluation committee with councilors Bennett and King. Also attended the Denim and Rhinestone Gala. Councilor King was also there. Fantastic events. Just really wanted to thank the Park Exhibition Society for their success and their efforts. And I just wanted to give a shout out. This Sunday, I believe, is St. Patrick's Day. And there's a run organized by the Desert Valley Running Club. We start from the Backroads Brewery and we end at Backroads Brewery. Either we run or walk. I just encourage everyone to come out. It's supposed to be 19 degrees. It's going to be beautiful. So yeah, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. And are you going to drink green beer? Is that what they usually drink on St. Patrick's Day?
Maybe.
Good, thank you. And Councillor Poderica.
Thank you, Richard. Not much has happened for me, but I just want to thank Sue's fire department, as well as our operations pilot team and our administration for, as well as our partnering agencies, BC Ambulance, CRCMP, and neighboring fire departments from all over, and just for the great work they did on Main Street last week. Minimizing the loss from the structure fire. Obviously, that section of Main Street is a fairly older part of Main Street, and it's great to see the work they did that day. So thank you.
Thank you. So, first off, I want to say that, in the last week or so, we've lost two very, well-known community members, George Fraser, whose family has been here for, I don't know, 80 years, I would think, maybe longer than that. And his, grandfather, George Fraser, wrote a book called The History of Vesuvius, and it was up to 1953. And there's all kinds of information on there, and it's a who's who of who the founding members were. So George died last week, and also we just heard that Dave Porteous died the other day. Dave and Porteous and their family have been here for many, many years. And looking up in the archives in the vault, going through the books, I knew that Mr. Porteous had been a town councillor, and I found the record that he was a town councillor from January 1969 to November 1978. So for 10 years, he was on council here through, with various other people. At that time, the minutes were typed up and photocopied, or somehow maybe with gel pads, I don't know, I used to do that at one point, and put in a binder. So that's what I had to look through the binder to find out all that information. That's quite interesting. So we will miss both of them. They were great community leaders. I also attended the School District 53 budget meeting. It was sort of a pre-budget meeting. And it was at the school board offices last week. They spent quite a lot of time getting their budget ready, and it will not be complete until June. I was at the RDOS meeting the other day, where there's always interesting things to be talked about, short-term rentals and water systems and all that kind of stuff. And then I was on another meeting with the resort municipality mayors. And the MRDT, or the hotel tax, is one of the big things that all of us, the 14 communities, are looking at. And actually, we had written a letter to the minister asking if we could meet, and instead she's providing her assistant minister and a couple of the people on the advocacy committee are going to meet on the March 13th and look at how we can perhaps get more money from the RMI funding, and also some flexibility with that funding. So that's happening next week. I did explain this morning that the invasive mussels, I was at a meeting on March the 8th, all day with that one, but earlier in the week I had been on our regular monthly meeting. Fortunately, in the winter time, those meetings are held online, so I could do that one online. I'd like to just say again how much we appreciate the Vesuvius Fire Rescue and all the first responders and all of town staff who all coordinated to save as much of those buildings as possible. And it was pretty amazing. I know that operational services, corporate services, town staff were all out there helping. So together they work miracles. So thank you. I'd like to say congratulations to the South Okanagan bowling team that went to the Special Olympics. I understand that they came 6th in the country, but that 2 of the bowlers from our league, Ryan, who won a silver, and Sasha, who won a bronze. So they did really well. So well done to them. I know they practiced for a long time. And yesterday I was on a International Lake Vesuvius Border Control meeting. And we were talking about how we can look after not only the quantity, but the quality of water in the Okanagan, and particularly Vesuvius Lake. There was some very interesting pictures about the ice jam that happened at the mouth, the lower end of the mouth of the river at the end of Vesuvius Lake, south end, down in the United States. And as you recall, I think it was January the 12th, that there was quite a wind and it was cold. And by January the 13th, the temperature had dropped so quickly that the lake froze, certainly in front of my house. One day it was totally open, the next day it was frozen. What happened at the mouth of the head of the river was that the ice jam was there and the water going through the Zolza Dam dropped to practically nothing because there was no water getting through. So somebody had taken some good pictures of that and they're looking at it because that causes problems further down, fish and everything else. So that was an interesting meeting. And lastly, I just wanted to say that about social media, I'm very disappointed and disheartened with the disrespectful, threatening comments that have been made on social media sites, not only about council, but also about staff. And I think it's totally inappropriate for the writers to make rude, offensive, defamatory comments and assume that it's appropriate. I don't normally go on a lot of social media sites, mostly because I don't like what is being said on there, and my friends have said, Sue, don't go on. It's nasty, you won't like it, but it was brought to my attention some particularly nasty and threatening comments that have been on recently. And I find those offensive and totally inappropriate. I'm hoping that it's a small number of people in this town that think it's all right to do that. And that most people who read those things will not pay attention to it and will not listen to them because it's damning. We have, in Osoyoos, we have a motto, Canada's warmest welcome, and it does not just mean the weather. I've seen recently several things that Destination Osoyoos has put out and advertising Osoyoos as being a great place to come and visit and play and swim in our warmest lake and golf and eat the early fruit and go to vineyards. And I don't want people thinking that Osoyoos is not the place to come because they're reading things that are on Facebook. And it makes me very sad. A couple of years ago, I got a pin from Destination Osoyoos, and it says, kindness is contagious. And I'm hoping that all of us in Osoyoos can be bitten by the bug, the kindness bug, and that we can all work together and make sure that this is a wonderful place to live and play. Thank you.
But it's okay for
No,
your
thank you.
COA to come and
Excuse
push me around.
Excuse me, this is not a time for you to speak. Mr.
Well, it wasn't a
Gardner.
time for that
Please
class you just
go.
put out either.
Please go.
I was going.
That was inappropriate. So we will now go on to the in-camera section. That pursuant to section 91 of the community charter, a part of the council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to one or more of the following. Section 91C, labor relations or other employee relations. Section 91G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. Could we have a motion, please?